is Brooklyn Savvy. Hi, I'm Tony Williams, and welcome to Brooklyn Savvy. Today we're talking to playwright and actress Juliette Fairley, who is starring in a one-woman show at the Richmond Shepherd Theater, The Mulatto Saga. Interesting, right? How you like that title? And Juliette kind of you describe basically the complexities, challenges, and struggles of being biracial in America. So before we delve into this, what I think is a real provocative subject, I'd like to introduce our Savvy panel. We have Ellen Salpeter, of course, Juliette Fairley, Karen Oster, and Lisa Bing. So, talk to us about this play.
Well, it's based on my parents' story. My mother is a white French woman. My father's an African American from North Carolina. And they met and married during a time when it wasn't very common. Nowadays, it's very common. And then I came along, and then the second half of the play is about my dating life as a result of being a biracial. And it's directed by Charles Burnett, who is a famous Hollywood film director. He directed Halle Berry in The Wedding. He worked with Oprah Winfrey, directed Danny Glover.
Is he African American?
He's African American.
Okay, because I find it interesting that he's, so interested in this particular subject matter. So
Yes, yeah, he did The Wedding. I don't know.
Because I remember that. Yes, I saw
Wedding.
The Wedding. Yeah, same kind of theme going on,
Yes.
so to speak, where Halle was marrying a white man, I believe.
Yes,
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So, so it's about my parents' story, and the second half is about my story, standing on my own 2 feet, having, had my experiences with my parents, being in the world, and trying to date, and, dating white men, black men, and then having, reactions about being a biracial.
That's interesting, because when this whole issue of biracial is really interesting, especially when you look at it from a African American context. For many, many years, biracial children were embraced by African Americans because typically, back in those days, white people would put those kids up for adoption, the products of interracial relationships, or they might abort. But in black culture, we did not do that. So I just wondered if you could kind of comment on what's changed. What do you think has changed in this whole conversation that we're having around biracial?
Well, I think that white Americans are, because of Obama, President Obama, that they're much more accepting of African Americans. I mean, Obama, whether you like him or not, completely changed the racial landscape in the country.
You think?
In the sense that biracials are much more accepted than they were before Obama. So there's before Obama, there's after Obama.
But you see, I see Obama as a black man, but go ahead.
Well, that's interesting.
Even though with
do
we
have
to,
hold on.
Do we have to always?
Well, hold on.
We're going to get there.
Okay.
Because the headlines after Obama was elected was post-racial society, and so can you speak a little bit about what you mean by the change? Because I'm not sure that there really is a change.
I haven't seen any change on that level.
Yeah.
Well, I say before Obama, before Obama, the biracial was basically didn't have any choice, and you were just black because you look black. After Obama, we are now being able to enter into the society that the white mainstream society in ways that we never had before. The window is open.
So you say you get privileges now?
I'm saying that you can get in ways that you couldn't before, but I believe it's going to be limited to
You're saying biracial
not
people.
Black.
Right, so let's clarify this.
Yes.
Well, I think blacks are getting in too, and I think Latinas and women are getting in. The window's open now because there's this black president, whether he's biracial or not. But I think it's going to be a short window, and you got to run through that window while it's open, because I don't know how long it's going to be open.
This is what confuses me. If many biracial people look black, but maybe don't identify black.
But can we just note that biracial?
I can't figure that out.
Biracial people. I mean, I'm going to just throw this out there, and I'm not making I don't want to offend anyone, but biracial people happen to be quite good looking.
But let's
just talk about that, because let's just throw this out.
That's pretty obvious.
No, it's not that obvious. Let's have the conversation.
I think biracial's always been beautiful.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, doors are open, and maybe doors are opening because they're good-looking people. Like, I mean, they happen to be good-looking.
Pursuant to our last, you have to be hot to be in politics.
Exactly.
But you know what? I think it's different in the sense. I think part of why the conversation around biracial, at least this is what I've been reading, has changed is because white parents are now raising biracial children. And they are intentionally getting into relationships with people that they love and this is their offspring, and they want what's best for them. Meaning is
right, because possibly
what, you're confused by what I just said?
No, I'm just what's best for them is what any parent
exactly,
wants.
and I'm not making it,
Regardless
and that's kind of how I was saying that.
Culture.
Well, but it wasn't always. I mean, Tony's point before, in terms of a biracial child, and the term mulatto was used in historically. I don't know that white families embraced their biracial children.
But they didn't.
They didn't. So I mean,
but
maybe
you can make that generalization that white families.
Yeah, I think we
just,
can make
historically.
that's historically.
We can remember
like starting in like the
slave
80s. Okay, can we talk? Like, is it in the 80s when it changed, or is it literally when Obama?
I
The
think
90s.
when Obama came
You
in,
think it was
because
really about Obama?
prior to Obama, the biracials hid behind the afros. Now that there's this biracial president, they're everywhere. They were always there.
Everywhere.
But they are everywhere because they can come out. I know I'm out. I'm like, I'm not going back in the closet. Obama opened the door. I can run around and talk about being biracial. Here's my play.
So
Right.
But before that, it was kind of like, it was like you hid behind the afro. You were like, oh, I'm just, I'm just.
Because that's
Right,
how society saw you.
Well, because it was just scary. It was scary. It was like people, they didn't think you existed. They didn't want you to exist.
Really?
They didn't want to see that the white and the blacks mixed.
Well, and you know what? That's an interesting point, because I was looking at Tavis Smiley the other day, and there's this play that Tim Robbins is doing. It's called Break the Whip. And it's about Jamestown. And he talks about how the indentured class in Jamestown used to do a lot of racial mixing between the Native Americans, between the Africans, and the aristocracy in Jamestown put laws in place to make fraternization illegal.
Right.
See the games that are played on
Yeah,
us?
yeah.
When people just want to love each other.
Well,
But you get what I mean?
Ethnic cleansing is still going on.
Yes,
Plenty
it's
of
right.
those sites,
Right, but
No,
I
my
think
point-
Juliette, and I think Juliette raises a really interesting point. I mean, something that I certainly hadn't thought of in those terms before, about biracial children claiming black, not biracial, and now that it's safer or what have you to do that. I went into Dunkin' Donuts. I may have shared this story with you.
I know this story.
And the young woman behind the counter, after I ordered my coffee, said, may I ask you a question? And I said, sure. She said, are you biracial? I said, no, I'm black. I said, well, why would you ask? She said, well, I just wanted to know if I was right. And so, it raises the question to me, why is that?
Why was that not a good question?
Well, first of all, from Dunkin' Donuts' standpoint, I don't want my employees asking questions that may be appropriate.
But
Okay,
I'm
that's
talking about
number
on
one.
another level,
Well, but that's the number one level. It was random. It was inappropriate.
little bit off.
Well, it was out of context. It was what difference does it make? And so I'm going to ask Juliette, in terms of being biracial and identity, this notion, because we all struggle with identity, and it becomes probably even more acute. How does that work itself out?
Well, my theory is that, because of the institution of slavery in this country, the history of slavery, slavery was an economic thing, and the race made slaves easily identified. If you were black or brown, you were slaves, and that made it easier for the white people to control the slaves and say, well, you belong with the slaves. Right. So I think that is why most people don't want to associate with African Americans or brown people, because they don't want to be associated with slavery. And so I don't think it's racism so much.
It's a subconscious.
And so I don't want to be a slave. Right. I don't want to be anywhere near you people. I don't want to be dragged in when you go back into slavery, kind of thing. As if we're ever going to go back into slavery.
But the fact that we were there is painful.
Some people think we could actually. I mean, it depends on what president you have. You have a Republican president, they'll drag you back in. Right. And the reason why, and right now we have this brown president, so it's cool to be black, and it's okay to hang out with black people. It's okay to date black men. It's okay to date brown women, black women, because there's no danger that the blacks are going to go back into slavery now. But once he's out of office and we possibly get another Republican president, the white people are going to scram because it's like, I don't want to be a slave. You guys are slaves, not us.
Okay, representing the white people here. Okay, let's relax. Let's relax. Because not all of us look at that like going, oh, slavery. I mean, are you thinking of putting me in an oven because I'm Jewish? I mean, let's
feel that way.
Okay, so let's just like.
But also, we're in Brooklyn.
Okay,
well, wait, we are in Brooklyn, ladies.
Hello, right.
City, which is majority minority.
Okay, but what I'm saying is
Majority
we are not
minority, lumping us all
America.
together.
Right.
We are not America
don't
at this
reflect
table.
America.
So
Okay, we are New York. We are not America.
So let's not make. I'm careful. I would not like to make
They say
generalizations
never
here.
again, but you never know what could happen.
Oh, hello.
We were going down that road under the
I'm
past
with you, but
president.
as a
You
white
never
person,
know.
or whatever I am, I don't even know. If you want to see me dance, I might even be. I'm an Italian Jew. That's my religion. I'm Italian. I'm an Italian Jew.
Okay,
Hello.
so make your point.
You give me a time limit? You want to watch this on television?
I'm enjoying this.
So I don't like the generalization, just like I don't generalize about blacks or Hispanics. I just feel that that's a scary way to go. The whites. I'm not a white Republican. I mean, I feel like when you use those statements, you have to be careful about how you use them.
Back to Juliette and the life that you led, your upbringing, and your mom was French. I'd like for you just to describe for us some of the issues that you talk about in the plays.
Well, my
That's
mother-
going to help you understand.
My
why
mother
she-
is French, and she's blonde, blue-eyed, and she lived in France during the Nazi occupation of France. So the Germans came in, and they didn't kill the white French people, but they took their food, they went into their house, they rummaged around. They didn't have any rights either. While the Jews were being carted off to the concentration camps, the white French people were just kind of, looking around. So my thing, when I say whites, I'm thinking of the fascists, I'm thinking of the Nazis, I'm thinking of the racists, I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking of. Because my mother thinks, of the Nazis in the same way. She's scared of the Nazis too. She's like, I feel like that's why she went with a black man, because she was so scared of the Nazis. And when she met my father, and he was in Europe during the Reconstruction after the war, and I think that's kind of why she ran, to the American black, because they were so traumatized by the bombings.
Yes.
And there's a scene in the beginning of the play where there's a bombing, and their country home was destroyed, and the Nazis came in their house. So I think that white people can be just as terrorized by white fascists, white Republicans, white racists, white Confederates, the Tea Party.
What do you do with Michael Steele? He's a black Republican.
He's an oddity.
But he's not as odd.
He's not,
yeah.
You would say
It's a mindset. It's a
Be
mindset.
careful. I think we have to watch our
I would
words.
say that those black people that are the black Republicans that have gone onto that side, they have choice positions, and they went in there to take those positions. The HNIC, which I don't know if I can say, the head in charge.
Negro in charge. Negro in charge.
Your thought,
For those of you who don't know.
right. Right.